to the Tuesday Funk stage is an author and journalist. Painting with Fire, an artistic murder mystery, was her debut novel last year, and she is currently finishing a second book, tentatively titled A Storm of Stories, which is about two people stranded in a car on a deserted country road in the middle of a whiteout. They tell stories to pass the time and as a way to stay alive. The themes are love, craziness, and impossibility. She grew up in Minneapolis and currently lives in Hyde Park with her husband, daughter, and rescued border collie lab mix. In her spare time, she enjoys teaching downhill skiing and traveling the world. She's also got books for sale. Please welcome K.V. Jensen.
Thanks for coming out. I'm going to read a short story called Chuck and Irene from A Storm of Stories. Did you know a house from the 1950s could be built on a wooden foundation in Jackson County? It was actually up to code at the time. That's what happens when you let people build their own houses. They get inventive. They get creative. And what do you get when you buy one? You get rot and a whole lot of cuss words when the inspector comes. I've never seen anything like this, the inspector said. What were they thinking? The man literally scratched his head. Irene and Charles Taylor built this house and lived here 50 years. It's not ugly. It's not a house you would think was on the verge of collapse. It's a ranch style with a triangular overhang. It's got white vinyl siding and burgundy trim. Outside, the children's tricycles and a plastic grocery cart are scattered on the lawn. There isn't a single creeping Charlie among the blades of grass. I'm proud of the lawn. The porch stairs are covered in green vinyl carpeting. I admit that's ugly. Monty and I know we should take it off, but we haven't figured out what kind of adhesive Chuck and Irene used to keep it together. I'm afraid it would look even uglier if we peeled it off, so we leave it on. But inside, the house is nice and cozy. Inside, there's layer after layer of white carpeting. I like the feel of it under my feet, except for the kitchen. In the kitchen, there's a wooden floor, and you can roll marble after marble across it in the same sloping arc. The children were the ones who first noticed our house was sinking. Children notice everything, you know. I like making lunches for the children on the linoleum counter, peanut butter and jelly. I lick the knife and put it in the dishwasher, even though I know it's never going to get clean. I don't care. I'll run it again and again, because eventually it will come clean, right? Or someone else will clean it for me. That's the ultimate denial, peanut butter residue. Can we prop up the south end of the house? I asked the inspector. Monty wasn't even there when he came this morning. No, ma'am, I'm afraid not, he said. You're going to have to move. You're going to have to let the county condemn this place. Please don't tell the county, I pleaded. We need time. I won't tell them for a while, he said, but man, it's not safe for your children. The conversation from this morning flits in and out of my head, a memory stuck there like a song. The kids are playing outside right now. It's safer for them outside. Monty likes to sit in the brown leather recliner in the living room. He likes to watch football for hours. I hate football, but I love Monty. We've been very happy in this house. I had hoped we'd live here 50 years together, just like Chuck and Irene. Oh, Chuck and Irene, how could you be so stupid? I can still taste the peanut butter residue on my tongue. I walk through each room like I'm saying goodbye with each closing door. There's the baby blue bathroom with the porcelain clawfoot tub. Maybe we could take that with us. We had some good times in that bathtub, me and Monty, when we first moved in. The children's rooms explode with innocence and stuffed animals and plastic bits and pieces that once were toys. Don't ask me how we're going to pack all that up. I thought we were happy here. I thought everything was perfect, stable. We were safe and secure. Now I found out it's all on a downward slope. It was an illusion. I pound down the steps to the basement. I pound down each one with heavy footsteps, like I'm angry at the house, because I am angry at the house. I'm angry at Chuck and Irene and their 50 years of bliss. And where is Monty? Why couldn't he take the day off and listen to the inspector with me? We have a lot to talk about. I go to the washer and dryer and instinctively change the wet clothes. There's a pile of laundry on the floor and a dead mouse next to it. I swear out loud. I hate this basement. I've always hated this basement. Cobwebs and flooding, cracks in the floor. When it storms, it pours out through the holes in the walls like a faucet. Monty and me would go down and try to stop it. The children would run up and down the steps with buckets and throw the rainwater out on the driveway. I asked Monty to plug up the holes. He tried. He just didn't know what the hell he was doing, just like Chuck and Irene. I wander into the storage room and stare at the boxes piled to the ceiling. There's a lot of history in there, a lot of secrets buried under the cardboard mountain, things we've forgotten, what we were like when we were young, what we wanted, what we wore, what we played, the music we listened to. Now we get to open those boxes again, weed through them, or throw them away and start all over. Monty is home from work. I can hear the children screaming, "Daddy, Daddy," at the top of the steps. I left the door open. I look up the stairs and see two sets of little arms dangling around his neck as he stoops down. He's standing in the doorway, framed by the glow of the fluorescent kitchen light. Now, Monty may not be the handsomest man. When did he get to be so fat? When did I? But I walk out of the basement and into his arms. We both start crying. I don't even need to tell him what happened. He can just tell from the expression on my face. You may ask me how we didn't notice the foundation was made of wood when we bought the place. We were young and stupid, just like Chuck and Irene. "It's over," he says, "isn't it? We have to move on." Just then there is a rumbling. One of the walls caves in down below and the house starts to sink beneath our feet. The wooden floor starts to crack and drop below us. We just stare at each other, sinking. It feels like an earthquake, that collapse of rotten wood. The children scream and run out of the kitchen screen door. It makes a loud slapping sound behind them as it closes. Monty and I stare at each other, unmoving, in dumb silence, except for that sound. A strange hissing sound emanating from the basement steps. We are paralyzed by indecision. Should we stay or should we go? Should we run screaming or try to fix it? Can it be fixed? The inspector says it's a lost cause. "The gas line," I shout over the hissing. "Must have disconnected from the furnace." Monty stares down the stairs into the darkness. "Don't go down there, Monty, and don't you dare flip that switch." "I wasn't going to," he says. My Monty never plays hero, thank God. We run out of that house as fast as we can. We run into the woods as far away as we can. I carry one of our children in my arms, he carries the other, and we stand there, our bare feet against the blades of grass. We watch from a distance as she ignites our home. There is a flash, and then a slow, lingering licking of flames. It is all gone. But me and Monty, and the children, we're all still here. And as I look over at him, I realize that's the only thing that really matters. The rest can be replaced. Chuck and Irene had their 50 years of bliss, and God damn it, me and Monty, we're gonna have ours.